Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. It is the instant match reaction. Everton 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1 last night at Goodison Park. I apologise that this video is the next day. I don't know what happened to me last night, to be perfectly honest with you. I got home from the game and obviously, my throat was sore. Obviously, I'd had no voice because Everton had scored a last-second equaliser when we went down to 10 men and when we needed to. The sort of usual symptoms of a last-minute equaliser sort of crept in, lack of voice, sore throat, etc., etc. But I don't know how, but I come home and my head was killing and I felt sick and my stomach's all in bits, so I don't know. Anyway, I decided to go and get an early night last night instead, and I thought we'll do this video today. A hard-fought, deserved point by Everton Football Club. Obviously, slightly disappointing to not get the 3 points, just given the situation and the circumstance that obviously we find ourselves in. We haven't got many home games left, and one of them is against Manchester City, who, of course, are an absolute formidable force. So there is a sort of a part of me that is slightly disappointed that we didn't manage to win the game yesterday. However, when you think about the context of the situation and the context of the game in itself, going down to 10 men for the majority of the second half and going 1-0 down and managing to get back into the game and showing that grit and that determination and that fight, I suppose it's a good point, all things considered. It takes us out of that relegation zone. It doesn't quite put us in a position that I'd hoped we'd have been in this morning, but it's another point to add to the board, and it just probably means we need to go and get a win away from home somewhere. And given we've still got Leicester City to come away from home, and we've got generally a good record against Leicester City away from home, then maybe this one is a much more important point than we first sort of thought. But yeah, as I said, a good, hard-working, battling performance by Everton. If Everton were to lose that game 1-0 yesterday through a penalty, I think we'd have all been quite disappointed. Not only because we've lost another game, and obviously we'd have dropped points in a game week that we couldn't really have afforded to have dropped points in, given the teams around us all picked up points, or certainly most of them. But also, just because we didn't deserve to lose that game. Tottenham Hotspur did very little in the game to deserve to win it. Their goal come from a penalty, which was a Michael Keane mistake. It was a Michael Keane, film yesterday, wasn't it? A Michael Keane movie, if you like. He was involved in pretty much everything. He cleared one off the line in the first half from Kane. He gave away the penalty. He almost had his legs snapped in half by Lucas Moura. He got back up instantly after nearly having his legs snapped it off, not like certain other English players who absolutely embarrassed themselves last night. He got back up straight after it, and he went and scored an absolute worldie to gain Everton a point in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. So it really was a Michael Keane storyline last night. Everything that happened seemed to revolve around him, and as I said, it was a much deserved point. And had Everton have lost that game, I think we'd have all been sat here, obviously disappointed in the usual manner because we've lost the game of football, but also feeling a little bit hard done by, given Tottenham didn't really deserve to win the game because they didn't do much in it. It wasn't a massively exciting game of football. I think there were a couple of things that were quite obvious from an Everton point of view. One of them was we are desperately lacking up front, and I know that's something that a point that we've raised numerous times on this channel over the course of the last 12-18 months or so, and I know it's a point that every Evertonian's raised, and I'm not by any sense of the imagination sort of finding an issue here. We've known for a long time that this is the problem, but I think we saw it quite sort of intensely last night, that the Mardi Gray up front on his own just doesn't work. He doesn't hold the ball up well enough. He's not particularly getting in the right areas, and a lot of the times the Mardi Gray finds himself on the ball. He finds himself on the ball out wide, whether it be on the left hand side, whether it be on the right hand side, and He's the striker that should be in the middle. And okay, even if he was in the middle, I'm not particularly confident he'd be able to get on the end of any crosses coming in, because I don't think he's ever scored a headed goal for Everton. I don't think he's scored many headed goals in his career, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, you're still finding your striker on the, on the wings picking up the ball, and then you're looking in the box and there's nobody there. And that, I think, was a big problem for Everton yesterday. We worked hard, we battled, we fought in that first half, but it just couldn't stick, and there just wasn't enough quality in that final third. And maybe similarly for Tottenham Hotspur as well. I did think Everton were the better team in the first half. Tottenham had a couple of half chances, as I said. Michael Keane had one off the line from Harry Kane. Harry Kane had a header that was put wide as well. But other than that, there wasn't an awful lot that happened. I thought Dwight McNeil had a really good first half, to be honest with you. I thought he put a couple of really good balls into the box that were just not met, and that were just not, latched onto by any of the Everton players bursting forward. And again, that also falls into the same sort of problem of not having a recognised striker on the pitch. And even when Ellis Sims come on, even though he was only on for 10 or 15 minutes, there were 3 or 4 occasions where the ball was fizzed into him and he held it up, and he put his body in the way and he managed to get the ball, and then he managed to spin away with it. And it's just little things like that. It didn't directly lead to a goal or directly lead to a chance, but it kept the possession for us, and it took the pressure off a little bit, and it built the confidence a little bit. So yeah, I think there was quite an evidence, quite evidential yesterday that we were lacking that sort of striker, that natural number 9, that natural, that striker's instinct to hold the ball up and to spin off and this, that and the other, because Damari Gray isn't that. Damari Gray may be our best option in terms of being a natural finisher at the moment up front in Dominic Calvert-Lewin's absence, because Ellis is still very young and Neil Maupay is not very good. But Damari Gray is far from being a natural striker, and Damari Gray is far from being the answer to Everton's problems. However, we still battled, we still fought. You wouldn't have, if you were a neutral watching that game who wasn't really wasn't really aware of the situation this season, you wouldn't have said that was a team that were in 4th versus a team that were in 18th at the start of the evening. It was a very matched first half. Both teams had a couple of half chances, nothing really too much, and both teams defended well when they needed to. And then we come out for the second half, and again, much like pretty much all of Sean Dyche's games in charge of Everton so far, they've been tight, they've been sort of choppy, they've been battling, there's been desire, there's been determination. I don't think we're going to see many performances where Everton turn up and just beat a team 2 or 3-0 and we're all sitting there in the 85th minute going, how good's this is amazing. I think we're going to get a lot more of that sort of arse in your mouth 90th minute sort of moments like that. I'm not saying we're going to get 90th minute equalisers or winners every week, but I mean, I think we're going to have a lot more of that sort of constant stress until the final whistle under Sean Dyche. But if that's what we need to do in order to get results, then that's what we need to do in order to get results. And Dyche is picking up results at the moment with this team, which is what which is all we can ask for, really. And as I said. Second half comes out. I thought Abdoulaye Doucouré was impressive in the first half. I thought Alex Iwobi was hot and cold. Moments he looked good. He looked like the only player who was really picking up the ball and driving with it in a forward area. Damari Gray, I thought, was really poor in that first half. Didn't see an awful lot from Dwight McNeil. I thought he worked hard and I thought he put a couple of good balls into the box, but he wasn't massively involved. Whereas Iwobi, although we give the ball away 2 or 3 times, he still wanted it. He still was looking to be involved. He was still looking to pick it up. He was still looking to drive with it, which was, which you can't really criticise. And then we come out for the second half, and as I said, I do think we looked a little bit less energetic. I do think we looked a little bit tired. I do think we looked a little bit lethargic. I do think we looked a little bit, a little bit sort of worn out. Not an awful lot. I don't think there was a massive change, but I just think the energy levels and the press levels, certainly before Abdoulaye Doucouré was sent off, sort of dropped a little bit. Then, of course, we had that moment in itself where Harry Kane somehow evades any form of punishment. I think he got a yellow card for it, but he completely tries to volley Abdoulaye Doucouré because he'd had the ball taken off him, and Harry Kane doesn't like having the ball taken off him because he's the England captain, and he thinks that he should never have the ball taken off him because he thinks he's got a divine right for every defender to go, here, you get a free shot on goal because you're Harry Kane. He's a bad idiot, by the way. And I said this on Twitter last night, and I'll say it again. Harry Kane, there's many reasons why I personally am detached from the England national team, and I personally do not care for the England national team in tournaments, in friendlies. I don't care if they win it. I don't care if they go out in the first round. I've got no emotional connection to the England national team for many reasons, and Harry Kane is one of them. I think he is I think he's a cheat. I think he's an absolute horrible player, and that my opinion will not change on that based on what shirt he's wearing. If he's wearing a Tottenham shirt, if he's wearing an England shirt, if he's wearing a Manchester United shirt. I'm an Evertonian, so unless he's wearing an Everton shirt, and then I'll love him because that's football and football fans are fickle. Unless he's wearing an Everton shirt, then I absolutely despise him. I think he's a cheat. I think his theatrics last night were an absolute embarrassment. Don't get me wrong, it probably is a red card, and the reason I say probably is because it's funny, isn't it, when an Everton player raises his hand to an opposition player's face, then it's an instant red card and you can't do that. But when Naby Keita smashed Mason Holgate in the face in the Merseyside derby not so long ago, and then, I think Mane done it to Alan as well, they weren't red cards because they were, get up, stop embarrassing yourself, you're being silly, it's never a red card, it's just a touch in the face. Funny that, isn't it? But when England captain Harry Kane has it done to him, it's an instant red card because somebody's raised his hand. A little, ironic that, isn't it, by this, complete corrupt league that we play in every week. But yeah, as I said, it's silly by Doucouré. He gets sort of, he gets led into it by Harry Kane, and he reacts, and I've not got a massive issue with the red card. I've got a massive issue with people lauding Harry Kane like he's some sort of role model and like he's some sort of perfect footballer when he's not. He's a cheat. He's an absolute cheat, and he's cheated every single time he's ever played at Goodison, whether it be doing things like that, whether it be diving, whether it be, kicking out at other players and getting away with it because he's the England captain. He's an absolute cheat, and I absolutely despise him. I think he's a horrible player. Anyway, he goes down, he rolls around. The referee is always going to give a red card because if the referee doesn't give a red card, then it paints out the England captain for being a diver or being a cheat or being, a theatrical. So he's always going to give the red card in that situation, even if it wasn't. And don't get me wrong, as I said before, I think it probably is a red card by the letter of the law. But it's funny how the letter of the law doesn't apply when it's certain other players for certain other teams doing it against Everton. And there's literal proof of that, by the way. So for anyone saying, anti-Everton again, is it? I've got literal proof that the same situation has happened and it's not resulted in a red card. So riddle me that. But yeah, Doucouré goes off, and from that point, it's always going to be an uphill battle for Everton. It's always going to be a tough task because we're down to 10 men against a team that, aren't doing very well at the moment, but are still set it fourth in the Premier League at this time, and we've got a lot of quality there at their disposal. We then give away a penalty. Michael Keane is involved. He gives away a penalty, kicks it. I can't remember who it was. Kane steps up and puts it past Jordan Pickford. And typically, this is where I think Sean Dyche deserves an awful lot of credit, because typically last season we'd all be sitting there 1-0 down, 10 men, half an hour to go, and we'd pretty much, I think, as Evertonians, all have the opinion that, right, that's it, game over. We're not going to get anything out of this game now. It's done. We're 1-0 down. We've got 10 men. Heads are going to drop. It might even get worse. It might become 2-0, 3-0. But there's no chance Everton are going to get anything out of this game. That's not the same under Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche has installed this sort of... It is a never give up mentality and a never say die mentality, but it's a lot more than that. It's almost the giving up and dropping your head and sulking and accepting defeat isn't an option under Sean Dyche. It's not an option. And what showed me that more so wasn't the fact that we got up and we battled and we worked hard and we pressed and we continued to try and get an equaliser, but it was after the equaliser. I don't know if anybody else got onto this, but after we'd scored the equaliser and we had them 2 or 3 minutes before the end of the game, I was watching Sean Dyche and he was constantly lashing his hands towards the opposition goal as if to say, hurl that ball that way, get that ball that way, go for a winner. It wasn't a, right, let's put another 2 defenders on now and sit back and hold our hands up. It wasn't even a, let's settle for a point. he just has a winning mentality, and a mentality that until that final whistle goes, you give absolutely everything, regardless of whether you're 1-0 down, you've got 10 men, you're 2-0 down, you've got 9 men, you give absolutely everything. And that's what we're seeing under him so far at Everton, and that's what we did. We went 10 men down, and we went a man down and 1 goal down, and it wasn't anything like, oh, well, we'll just give up, we'll just drop our heads. Okay, we had to be a bit more patient. We made a couple of changes. Tom Davies come on, obviously James Garner come on, we brought Ellis Sims on, Mikalenko come on. We had to be patient with it, but we constantly got at them. We pressed, we battled, we worked hard. The press from the likes of Dwight McNeil and Iwobi after going down to 10 men was brilliant. Players were still absolutely chasing every ball down, putting Tottenham under pressure. And in the 90th minute, we needed a saviour, we needed a hero, we needed somebody to look upon, and who else but Michael Keane. He had 1 cleared off the line. Sorry, just before that, Lucas Moura comes on for Tottenham and puts a challenge in that is 10 times worse than Abdoulaye Doucouré's, nearly snaps Michael Keane's leg. Harry Kane then goes over to the referee. Harry Kane should have been sent off for going over to the referee, already on a yellow card, to try and protest what was a blatant red card. So he's got away with another one there. But, did Michael Keane roll around? Did Michael Keane hold his head? Did Michael Keane act like an absolute knobhead like Harry Kane? No, Michael Keane got up, stole forward, and blasted one in from 30 yards. After nearly having his leg broken, after giving away a penalty, after blocking one off the line. What way to finish his film. What a final scene for Michael Keane than to pick the ball up from Ben Godfrey 30 yards out, drive with it forward and think, you know what, I'm just going to swat this. And I've got no issue with Michael Keane, Ben Godfrey, James Tarkowski, Amadou Onana, Garner Gay. Garner Gay had a chance in the game and he blasted it over the bar. Iwobi had a similar one. I've got no problem with any Everton player picking the ball up in that area, 1-0 down with 5 minutes to go and thinking, do you know what, I'm just going to hit this. And it is quite possibly the sweetest strike of a football I've seen in a long time. It reminded me of Leighton Baines' free kick against Newcastle all them years ago. Not necessarily from the distance or situation, but just how sweet he hit that ball. He could not have hit that ball better if he tried. It was an unbelievable finish. Michael Keane deserves an immense amount of credit for taking it on and for burying it in the first place. And as I said, it earned Everton a well-deserved point. A well-deserved point. And it is a little bit disappointing that we didn't go on and win the game after pushing to win the game, or that we couldn't, again, the goal we conceded was a mistake by ourselves. But to show that commitment, that desire, that grit, that determination when 1-0 down and 10 men to still getting back into the game is exactly what we need to see. And that could be a real turning point for the confidence of this team. And for the mentality of this team, that we were in that situation and we still managed to battle and get something out of the game, even given the fact that the referee was an absolute disgrace, and Tottenham's golden boy was trying everything he could to get players sent off because he's an absolute idiot. But yeah, an important point, a deserved point, and I think we have to take that. And we have to move on now. We've got Man United at the weekend. Again, an incredibly difficult game, but if we can get something out of that, then that would be brilliant. And then we've got to win, the remaining home games that we've got, and we should be okay. But that grit and determination and never give up attitude is something that I think, if we are to stay up, it will be because of that this season. And yeah, Viva Michael Keane. What a finish, what a goal, what a game for him. What a mad game for him. He certainly redeemed himself, didn't he? And yeah, a good point to take forward. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. We will be back with the player ratings a little bit later on, so don't forget to look out for those. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. That would mean a massive amount to me. Big thank you for watching. Up the Toffees. And yeah, up Michael Keane. What a finish.